story that it broke like at this hour or just moments before it yesterday that I think sort of got lost under the headlines a little bit, Chris, which was the Supreme Court ruled basically who a president can and cannot fire. And the cannot involved the head of the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jay Powell. And now I'm sitting back, Chris, and I'm going to myself, you know what? Whoever the Fed chair is, they're unelected, they can't be fired, and they control the money supply.
Right.
That's pretty powerful stuff, is it not?
It is, but who does...
And that's not a shot at Powell or whoever his successor may or may not be.
So we have the Federal Reserve, we have the Federal Trade Commission, we have the Federal Communications Commission, and under a ruling, let's make it sexy, it's Friday, under a ruling called Humphreys Executive, since the 1930s, they have been these hybrid entities that are neither constitutional fish nor fowl. They aren't constitutional. These are extra constitutional agencies and entities that have both legislative power and executive power. And Donald Trump says they're mine. I can weaponize the FCC against my enemies. I can weaponize the FTC against I can do anything that I want to do because they're the same as me. It can't be that too. It can't be this and it can't be that, and the Supreme Court's going to have to sort out what it means.
All right, let's go around the table. We'll go ladies first. I'll come to you at the end, Niall. Denise, so on this concept of power, and I just brought up, I think that's a pretty darn powerful position to be in. Who do you got as the biggest power players right now?
In what biggest power players in Washington? Yeah, well, I've got HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy. Look, this guy went from Democrat to independent. It doesn't even matter what party he's in. He doesn't care what anyone thinks. And he has been given carte blanche by President Trump to do whatever with our health system. First Lady Melania Trump, because listen, you may be the head, President Trump, but the neck controls you, and the woman's always the neck. And Senator Lisa Murkowski, because no matter how many times they primary her to the right, she ends up coming back with a write-in.
Okay. All right, who you got?
Okay, so I got Trump because he did get his...
You kind of went chalk here, Taryn, a little bit.
I went here... Well, here's why, and I think you'll...
Jeffries.
Well, here's why. I did, and I'm going to tell you why, because I went with a house party here. Because they had a big, beautiful bill this week, and all three of mine are surrounding that. I really did go with this big, beautiful bill, that the three of them got this bill passed, which in reality, Hakeem, the reason I put him in there is he had a rough start to this year. And you got to think to yourself, with this rough start, like, he kind of just got himself a little bit of footing here. He held the, he held the caucus together. Right. He got them in there, and he even got a few, people to come and side with him yesterday. And so I think the house party it was.
Yeah.
So President Trump, exercise of raw power, has the party in his grip, has the nation in his grip, has Democrats reacting to him. John Roberts, Chief Justice, because so much of what Trump does will ultimately be decided at the Supreme Court, and John Roberts, obviously, the central figure there. And AOC, who I think is fresh and exciting in a party that is struggling with staleness and dullness. She is very young. She's someone who has that social media cachet. I think she's the most powerful Democrat right now.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.